our current or previous juice customers. So I just want to say we appreciate all the years of business with you folks. And I know I speak for the whole team as, we're really excited to be part of the Quickbase family and to be, joining such a great community. Obviously, we were already a part of the Qrew previously as a partner, but now we're really excited to be behind the other side of the castle walls, as if you could say. But Keith, though, let you do a quick introduction.
Well, you just took all the things I was going to say, Matt. So
Oh, no,
thanks.
come
Thanks
on.
for jumping in there. So I did the same thing. I looked through the chat, through the participant list just to see it, some familiar names there. And it's nice to see some familiar names. And it's nice to see names that I'm not familiar with. So, and that's another thing with this acquisition does is kind of broadens the community of people that we're going to be connected with now too. So we're excited about that and excited about, reconnecting with the folks that we've been working with over the past years. So, for some of you who don't know, Juiced in detail, we've been around since 2005, really 2007, seriously working in Quickbase. So we've had a lot of years of Quickbase under our belt. Our team is very versed in Quickbase. We built add-ons for Quickbase, which are now, as Esther mentioned, called Quickbase extensions. So that's what they're going to be known to throughout the Quickbase community now. And as Matt said, yeah, we're excited to be part of Quickbase. This was really the right place for us to be to land. When we were thinking, when Todd and I, because Todd's my brother, and we started this company together. Over the years, we always were wondering, well, what's the real exit for us? Like, where is Juice going to end up? Because it's got to end up somewhere someday. And this was always the right home for it. And we, Todd and I spoke to management teams in the past to try to figure out what's the interest, and we kind of pushed them saying, our stuff is really throughout the community of Quickbase. It's used heavily, and we needed to live on, and we needed to kind of be under the right umbrella and under the right home. And we finally got, Ed Jennings and his new M&A team headed by Matt Pearson to really listen hard and to figure out how do we make this happen. And we did that over the summer. We started, and here we are today. A couple of months in, we closed the deal in November, and we're a couple of months in, and we couldn't be happier where we're at, what the trajectory is going to be, what the future of add-ons are going to be, and making sure that the broader community of Quickbase users have access to our add-ons and can start to take advantage of them. So that's kind of just like a quick summary of where we're at now, and I'm happy to be here today to answer any questions that I can, and we're far away.
Yeah. I also want to say I had someone in the chat say, where it's like we're back in office hours. So this is around the same time as when we ran office hours. So no, nothing too out of the ordinary if you keep an eye here. But like Keith said, if anyone has any immediate questions, we're happy to field some and miss office hours. Well, we do too. We'll see. If you ever work with Sam Trakey or Manny De La Cruz, both of those folks are amazing. I recommend joining some of those sessions, and you'll see my face pop in here and there for those sessions as well. So we'll revive office hours to a degree. Okay, got some questions coming in. Jim Harrison, is this intended to replace document templates, or how will the features complement each other? So that's a good question, Jim. I don't necessarily think it's inherently going to be a replacement for document templates, just both being now native options. Keith, do you have different lingo on that?
Yeah, I think that the real goal here was to keep them both around and use them when it makes sense to use them. So you can use regular native document templates to generate very simplistic documents. So one pagers, maybe two pagers.
Keith, you kind of went on mute there. At least I can't hear you.
Yeah, we lost your audio.
Oh boy. I wonder if something got unplugged over here.
Yeah, you're back now.
I'm back. All right, I'm back. So what I was saying when you couldn't hear me was the native document templates are still very valuable, and they still serve its purpose. So when you're creating simple documents, one pagers, maybe two pagers, you can certainly use native doc templates. But when you want simplicity too, like complex documents, but simplicity in generation and storing, you can use Exact Forms Plus because you click a button and it saves automatically. You don't have to have a pipeline behind the scenes to save it to a file attachment field or save it somewhere else. So Exact Forms Plus, although it can create very complex documents, it does add some additional simplicity to the whole process of document creation.
Yep, good question, Jim. I could see you leveraging both. I know we've worked together in the past. There are lots of different ways where you can generate documents with Exact Forms Plus that is a bit more complex, like Keith was saying, and plus utilizing the power of Word. Of course, there is Excel docs too, which is going to be included with these plans, which currently Quickbase does not have kind of a comparison to with what we could do with Excel docs. That one's a true underdog and the sister add-on to Exact Forms Plus, if you will. But with that said, Don Larson, do you have a deployment plan for Text My Quickbase? The compliance side makes it a bit more challenging than all the other tools. I would agree, Don. It does make it a little bit more complex. For those of you who don't know, Text My Quickbase does require 10 DLC compliance, which is 10-digit long code. And as I'm sure every single one of you guys here know, you don't want to be getting spam texts saying, your FedEx package is getting dropped off. Click here to see the route, and then someone's stealing that information. So 10 DLC compliance is to try to eliminate or at least mitigate how many of those spam texts you get. So you have to essentially say, hey, I'm a real business with a real use case, and have it be approved by, the major players, AT&T, T-Mobile, Sprint, Verizon. So we will, have to kind of help you guys get connected to get that 10 DLC compliance and that campaign registered. But as for deploying the solution though, Don, installing the add-on onto Quickbase is very, very quick. Once we have the procured number, it's super simple. So there is a plan. Can you reiterate the plan for existing Teams users who subscribe to one or two tools? So, Laura, the way we're being told right now is our existing Juiced customers will have at least one more year on their current plans. We don't know anything further out than that at the moment. So that's all we could really kind of voice to. You will be able to continue to utilize those tools with no interruption for this upcoming renewal term. I know, Laura, you work with a couple of different clients. If there's questions on getting that onboarded or not onboarded, renewed, please let me know. I will help you with that. If there's a new customer, how do we sign them up? Is there a change to the process? Correct. There is, Laura. So all new customers do have to procure via Quickbase. Juice Technologies no longer is able to kind of sell our tools, whether it be a la carte or as a package. So you would have to reach out to an AE or go through, the typical channels to get with an AE to, sign up for the Juiced extensions, which are now Quickbase extensions.
And to add to that too, you can't buy from Quickbase the add-ons individually. So you have to procure the bundle, which the bundle includes 6 of our add-ons. It includes Exact Forms Plus, Excel docs, Quickbase Courier, Text My Quickbase, and JuiceSign. So right now, those are the 6 add-ons that are part of the bundle, and you're going to pay the price for the bundle. And there's 3 different tiers of that as well. There's a core plan, there's a business plan, and then there's an enterprise plan. And that's how they're structured right now. With we're anticipating that the other add-ons will be at some point in time along the way, they'll be released as well, and they'll be either part of a bundle or a different bundle. They're still trying to think through how they're going to package things later on. But right now, it's those 6 add-ons that are part of the bundle, and you can't purchase any additional add-ons individually.
Yep. So, Heather, I'm going to get to your question in a second. I just want to answer Amanda's question because it kind of tees up to what Keith was just talking about. So is there a plan of making QB signatures available long-term? I just had my renewal and may not be available after this year. That is what the renewal specialists, as well as myself, are being told to say, right? Because we don't know which tools are going to be included within the packages, right? That's kind of out of our hands and onto the Quickbase's product teams to make those, kind of decisions. I do know QB Signatures is a tool highly utilized by our customers, so I would anticipate that it will be included in some package or another. But a year is a long time, so we will see as things kind of unfold.
I think what Quickbase is trying to do too is evaluate the functionality that our extensions offer and compare that to functionality that's within the Quickbase platform right now, what's also within Fastfield, and what might be roadmap items that they might have had prior to this acquisition. So they're trying to figure out what makes sense, because you don't want to have duplicative services or features coming out unless they can complement each other, or unless you can have one that does certain things well and this other one does other things even better. So that's really why they haven't just rolled them all out, is because they're trying to evaluate what makes sense in terms of a functionality. And also the main thing is they didn't want to overwhelm the whole Quickbase, let's say, team too, the internal team. Rolling out 20 plus add-ons at one time is a challenge. Everybody needs to learn them, figure out how to sell them, how to really raise awareness about them. So they wanted to try to take a small bundle of them, the ones that made sense, our most popular add-ons, and try to create the messaging around those, and then move on to the next ones that make sense.
Agreed. And as they do sell themselves. As for teams internal, we are doing enablement to make sure the whole Quickbase community has the resources available to be self-sufficient with these tools. So the more tools that are out there, the more resources we need to provide. So it's kind of like a steady drip of tools will be coming out. But to go back, Heather, to your question, how does support work for Juiced versus how it did in the past? At this moment, since the acquisition is still pretty fresh, you can continue to reach out to support@juicetech.com for support related questions, obviously regarding the extensions. As the teams continue to be enabled, you will eventually be able to just reach out to generic Quickbase support channels in order to get assistance for the approved extensions. So right now, just those 6 tools. Obviously there's plenty of information, support, total underdogs in any SaaS organization. They have to know literally everything from the bottom up. So there's lots of training that needs to go in there, and resources need to be provided. So for now, you can continue to reach out to us, and we will do our best to continue to answer everyone as needed. With Juice, can I send forms out securely to non-Quickbase users? Robert, I'm curious by the word securely, but yes, you absolutely can. There's 2 ways to do that. You could do it using our QB Courier tool, which is included in the package, which allows you to connect to your own mail server and send out files from Quickbase. And then you also could use Juiced Sign if you require those forms to be signed e-signature, which is a legally binding e-signature. If you wouldn't mind, you could even come off mute if you'd like. Can you kind of go into a little bit more securely and have an answer that?
Yeah, and thank you guys for the demo you guys did previously. And I guess my question, a few years ago, like 2 or 3 years ago, we were looking into forms and we didn't know about Juiced, and so we went with the Advantage form engine. And I guess I'm just trying to, I like a lot of the features that Juice offers. And so I'm just trying to decide what's really the difference between Juiced and Form Engine. Like with Form Engine, when I say securely, I'm sending them pass keys, and then I can lock them out of the form, like just by them like checking a box, I can just lock them out of the form. They can't get back in. So I just wondering, like, kind of that kind of secure.
Yeah, no, it's a good question. I'm familiar with Form Engine. Obviously, they were a partner as well back in when we were a partner. I can't necessarily speak on all the ins and outs of their product as well as the security from their aspect. But the closest comparison we have in with that is going to be Juiced Sign, including kind of text boxes to, grab form data. So, Advantages forms is actually allowing a customer to fill a lot of information out as if they were doing a Quickbase form. Is that how you're using it, or like how are you exactly using it?
Yeah, exactly. So we send them contract forms, medical people who want to contract with us. So they fill
Mhm.
out all the information. We get it right into QuickBase. So
Right. Yeah. So what we can do is we have two different values that we can fill in: a default file field ID and a update field ID for text boxes. So essentially, we can populate information into a form, and then if a client or end user updates it, we could update that back into a QuickBase table. It kind of works very, very similar in that sense. Obviously, you would still need to build out your form using our tags configurator. And there needs to be kind of a signature on that document. As for like locking it out, we have a void agreement button, which will immediately void the document, and no one else can make any changes to it. If they clicked on it again, they'll get a big X on their screen saying, "Hey, this document's been voided." Certainly would work for most cases. I would need to kind of see your document and learn a little bit more about your use case before I could, say, "Hey, stop what you're doing and switch." But I certainly think it would be a comparable change, in my opinion.
I mean, Juice Sign, like Matt says, it can act as, let's say, a way to get data, entered into a form and then brought back into QuickBase. That's usually not the primary use case for Juice Sign. It's more of a e-signature, legally binding e-signature tool. So Forms Engine, it does its job, which is really their primary job, as far as I know. I'm not an expert on that product at all. But as I know it, it is about creating forms where you can ingest data into QuickBase, where most of our tools are for taking the data that's already in QuickBase, massaging it, doing something with it, formatting it, and basically generating documents and then sending stuff out. So JuiceSign does collect some data, but if you have some heavy form use cases that we have a lot of data that you need to capture and ingest into QuickBase, JuiceSign isn't the right solution for that. It does do a good job of when you have smaller number of fields, but again, the main use case for that is for sending out documents that need to be signed electronically.
all right,
Now
thank you
we
very
do
much.
the document generation tools that we have, like Exact Forms Plus and PDF Stamper. We can secure those documents in terms of we can password protect them. You can have ways to kind of lock those down. So when you do email them out, your email is going out as a regular email. So if it's intercepted, someone can grab it, but the documents can have passwords put on them and so on. That's features functionality of Exact Forms Plus. I'm pretty sure PDF Stamper does the same thing. I'm not positive, though. I forget.
All right, thank you.
Yeah, good question. Chat's gone quiet a little bit. Any additional questions? We're more
I
than
saw
happy to
Lawrence
answer.
about email addresses. So we all have QuickBase email addresses. So the same people who are here that the 10 of us that were here all have a QuickBase email address. Juice Tech email addresses are still active, and they will forward. We're monitoring both right now. So we have both email addresses up all the time. So we're monitoring both. But eventually, the Juice Tech will go away. But I'm sure there'll be something in place to make sure that we forward those on so that we don't lose emails that people might still be sending to us.
Call out. Any plans for S3 add-ons with Juice and Quickbase? So, Josie, at this time, I don't have any updates. I don't know if you were on the call when Keith was discussing kind of roadmap items for the different add-ons. It's really a matter of Quickbase products teams kind of evaluating the tools and where they fit in Quickbase's roadmap, as well as where they fit with the existing features and functionality that Quickbase already has. So we don't have specific updates on tools that are not part of the initial package, but I do know that, of course, additional tools are coming out in the future and will be approved. So, Keith, anything you want to add to that? Or?
Yeah, of the six, a couple of them do interact with Amazon S3, and that's not going to change. Well, that's not changing now. As far as I know, you click a button, you generate a document. You don't want to store it in a file attachment field. You want to store it in S3. That you can do that today, and you'll be able to do that tomorrow. A lot of people use that too to get around some of the file attachment storage limits, so that when you have a 75 megabyte storage limit on your file attachment field and you need to generate that big file, that's one of the reasons why we included S3 to save files to S3. So that's still there, and that's not going away. And I don't see that ever going away. But our standard S3, like say where you just click a button to select a file to upload it, that's still, you know, under let's say analysis to see if that's something they're gonna want to continue to offer as we move forward. But obviously, if you have that now, if you're an a la carte customer and you're using Amazon S3 Basic or Doc Management or a multi-file upload, that's still available to you for at least another year on your subscription.
I'm sure Josie's thinking about file attachment sweep, if I could read her mind right now. But okay, good questions. Let's see, any other burning questions for the folks here? I know there's a couple of you who are not existing Juiced or are now extensions customers. Any questions on the webinar that Keith and Harrison hosted last week, where they kind of went through a sample use case of Exact Forms Plus and JuiceSign? Any questions on that or regarding any of the other 6 tools in general?
We'll be at Empower as well this year. So if you plan on attending Empower, which is always if you haven't gone to an Empower, it's a great conference. We have a lot of fun there, a lot of learning going on, a lot of exposure to new things. Quickbase, there's some really cool things coming out. Obviously we'll be there. We'll have a session about the add-ons and the bundled add-ons and so on. But so if you plan on going there, we'd love to see you there so that we can talk further about it, the extensions, and maybe even in a couple of months we'll have a little bit more information to share about what's going on with where we're at with the future of the existing add-ons and so on.
Yep. And Julie, kind of just dittoing to the previous comments. So we still don't have timelines or when things are going to be released. Obviously, Quickbase's product teams are investigating each one of these individually. So I don't have any necessary details on file attachment sweep, but they are aware of all the tools, right? Every one of our 20 plus tools, they are aware of. So they will all get the proper due diligence to see which ones will be included and which ones will be included sooner than later as part of roadmap items.
And we're still here too, and those were add-ons that we built for purpose, right? That we know the Quickbase community, we know what they were asking for. We built these add-ons specifically for solving workflow issues and challenges. So we'll be here explaining why we think that these add-ons should be offered. I mean, I want them all to be offered. That's just, we had our hands in on every one of them, so I want them all to be offered. But again, they have to make sense, but we'll be pushing the reasons why, at least helping them understand why the community needed it and why we think it's valuable. And then again, they'll do their analysis to see if it makes sense or not. So again, just to reiterate, the 6 add-ons that are part of the bundle are Exact Forms Plus and Excel Docs, again, document generation add-ons. Courier, which actually helps you send those emails out. You can send file attachments out with it. JuiceSign, so that you can sign those documents that you generate with Excel Docs or Exact Forms Plus. Then you have Text My Quickbase, just communicate, two-way communication back and forth with your customers, colleagues, business partners through text messaging. And again, QB Maps, which is another one that, it's always that one that's on the end of the chain of the 6 because it kind of doesn't maybe integrate as well with the other ones that are in the bundle, but it's a very powerful add-on, and we find a lot of good use cases for it. So QB Maps is really, we have a couple that are on our list that we call sleepers, and we just want to wake them up, and we want to make sure that they serve their purpose and they get the use cases out there to the community, raise awareness about what they do.
Yep, absolutely. So I actually do have a PowerPoint deck that I could share where we can kind of go through some common use cases of all 6 of the tools that are included. Before I kind of do that, I just want to make sure before I switch gears, we answer anyone, right? This is an Ask Me Anything session. So if we want a demo, who should we talk to? Your AE, if you're an existing customer. If you're a new customer or have new customers to bring in, you would just reach out to go through the regular sales channels at Quickbase and just mention that you're interested in extensions. And then who knows? It may be me on the call. I've been doing quite a bit of demo calls.
Matthew likes to talk, so he gets on as many calls as he can.
I do like to talk.
We have AI Matt in the background. Just we're putting him on.
Yes. You're always gonna hear me. There's only two people more passionate than Matt. Me and AI Matt. Keith and Todd.
Yeah, but we're a little older now, so we kind of slowed down, unfortunately, Laura. So we're passing the torch on to the younger guys, younger crew.
We appreciate it, and we would not be anywhere without Keith and Todd. So without a doubt, we're appreciative of the many years of wisdom. We appreciate you guys too. But here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to go ahead and jump into the slide deck, just because I believe it's going to be beneficial to talk about. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. Wow, there's a lot of things on my screen after sharing. So can everyone see this?
Yes.
Cool. So I just want to kind of go through these different slides, and if it's too small, let me know. I can try to zoom in a little bit for you guys. Maybe I'll do that now.
We're seeing like the not like the presentation mode, so it might help.
This. There we go. Better?
Yep.
Awesome. So, I wanted to start with QB Maps because, as Keith said, it's sort of a sleeper tool. It doesn't necessarily work well as a use case where you do exact forms plus where you generate the document and then you send it out for e-signature. That's a clear cut, be able to use those tools together. But QB Maps provides a lot of opportunity, especially for field service operators to be able to interact with the people out in the field and kind of have an idea of where they are. So common use cases are job site assignments, live directions for drivers, sales territory managers, property status managers, shipments, electric pole status management. I mean, that's a very specific use case, but just also getting the current location of where people are out in the field is a very common use case as well. So you can see here, see current location among the locations from Quickbase. What we've recently had people doing is they actually partner this with Text My Quickbase, and they send a link to kind of an EOTI app in Quickbase where they can just click the button and log themselves on a map. So if they're using, they just put in, what their name is, maybe what job number they're associated to, and then they log their current location on the map, and it'll be as accurate as your devices. That's been a really interesting new use case that I've been seeing recently. But just in general, being able to share, a radius around a certain location, being able to visually see maybe where your field service operators are, or where your employees might be, or where your customers are, does bring a lot of value and can also be put on like a dashboard or something like that. Now, that would technically be a transaction each time the dashboard is ran, but it would be nice to be able to open that up and kind of get a quick view of where everyone's at. And it's fairly easy to use too. If you know how Quickbase queries work, it definitely can work very easily in your system. Any questions on QB Maps before I go to the next one?
Yeah, Ben asked a question about is there a number limit on the pins? Good question, Ben. That we do have like let's say a limit that we set just to try to make sure that there's no rogue queries going out there. Someone does they have 10,000 records in a particular locations table and they click a button, they want them all to show. It's kind of like really unmanageable. Why would you really want to do that? So we do set, I think, a standard base limit. I don't know if it's like 1,000 or something like that. I forget.
I believe it's 750 by default.
Okay. But if someone comes and says, well, you know what, here's the use case, I really need to expand it to 1,500, then, if the use case makes sense, then we would do that. But we do put some type of limit there, so we just can't go.
I think Quickbase native has a limit of 100, or maybe that I'm dating myself. I don't know if that got like enhanced at some point, but
yeah. And then they drop from the ceiling too when they land in the map. Yeah, we actually have one on a demo app. We have one map that actually shows all of the airports in I don't know if it's in North America or the world, like that. I don't know, there's like 700 airports that pins that would show on that one. So it actually renders very, very quickly, because one of the things too that we do is once we geocode a location, we store the Latin lawn right on the record. So if we know that there's a Latin lawn already on the record, we don't have to geocode it again, so that we speed up that process of rendering them. So and the case with that is if you do end up changing an address on a record, normally you either can use a form rule or a pipeline to kind of wipe out the Latin lawn, so that the next time we show that on a map, we re-geocode it so that we get the accurate location for it. That's the only,
Because one of the things I'm thinking about is so for Empower this year, one of the things I want to do at the Qrew booth is have like a tablet that people who come to Empower can just put in, like, are you interested in meeting up in person with other members of the Quickbase community? And then they can put in, I mean, not like their home address or anything, just like a zip code, so that we can actually just like start getting pins on a map. And I can then introduce people at the event, because that's one of the biggest challenges I have as a community manager for Quickbase. I don't know where anyone, I know where our companies are, but it's very difficult for me to know where individual builders are, especially after COVID and there was a lot of remote work. So this would be a really selfishly, I think I'd love to use the QB Maps extension at the Qrew booth if we can figure out a way to do that.
For sure, Ben. That sounds like a good use case. We need either a Latin long or an address, but I'm sure we could just pick an address close to that zip code just to get something generic and like pick a two.
It might work with just city, state, and zip code. So we might not need a street address. We'd have to check with James on that. But then you can always just put any address in there when you're typing in the address on the thing.
Just get close enough.
Yeah, exactly. It's really just so that like people that are coming to that event should know who else is in their local area. Like that would be a goal for me, is like in my role, just to have have that be an outcome, that people leave that event meeting other people who are from their area, and that we can start to facilitate some of the in-person meetups in their area.
Yeah, Ben, that's actually a great use case. You could do a center location pin around where you want to have a Qrew meetup. Pick some dining hall or bar or wherever you do the meetups, and have a radius of 20, 30 miles or something show up on the map and say, here's all the people that are within 30 miles of that, and here are all the people that are within 50, and just showing on a map, or here's everyone in the state of Texas. Anything like that. All pretty easily done, as long as the data is in Quickbase. So that's a great use case.
Sorry, Tammy. I don't know if I lost the bet. I don't know if you were tracking what's going on, but
that's great.
I was overconfident and I made a bet with Esther and I lost.
Sorry about the Patriots, everyone who may be a Patriots fan. That's right. If you guys know Juiced, we sponsor the Jets, so we don't, not much better things going on here. But
there's nothing to be happy about with that. Yes, go Bills is right. That's our New York team.
Ooh, Jets. All right. Well, let's see if I can go backwards a slide here. Doesn't seem to like that. Let's see. Okay, so I'm going to talk about Text My Quickbase next for a second. So there were a few questions about Text My Quickbase earlier and how this would be set up. This is a really quick and easy inbound and outbound texting solution, SMS solution, once you procure your own number. It's a pretty minimal number of fields required in order to be successful. And this is great for, again, field service operators, surveys, reminder text, schedule appointments, status updates, alerts, everything like that. Anytime you're trying to communicate, whether it would be with an employee or someone out in the field or your client, texting is the fastest and easiest way to communicate with people in today's day and age. So being able to do that and have the conversations logged within Quickbase is pretty incredible. There's a lot of value in that. And now you don't have to have some project manager who has to use their phone, and now he or she is trying to go in and update everything on Quickbase, and it may be very troubling for them to keep up with all of those activities, and a lot of things can get lost With Text My Quickbase, this is going to happen automatically. It's going to update very quickly, and you're not going to have to worry about making those kind of tedious manual updates in Quickbase to keep a log of those conversations. I see some stuff in the chat. I don't know if it's questions or it looks like rumors.
No, they're picking on Ben.
Yes. Sorry, I actually did not mean to go up on that one. But did anyone have questions on QB Maps? Not QB Maps, sorry, Text My Quickbase. Jeez, I'm all over the place in this presentation. And that's okay if you don't. But I'm just going to move on then to Courier. So, as we do have the two advanced communication tools, there's Text My Quickbase and then there's Courier. So Courier is our advanced emailing functionality within Quickbase. Great, options in the ability to send these out from your own mail server. So that's really the big benefit here, is being able to connect to your mail server so the emails go out from your own addresses rather than from @notify.com, @notify@quickbase.com or anything like that. Now, being able to also customize the reply to, putting CCs, BCCs, updating fields in Quickbase when the emails are sent, being able to dynamically use fields from within Quickbase within your email, being able to build custom dynamic tables very similar to exact forms plus subtables within an email, super powerful. And then, of course, being able to do that, whether it be on a triggered, which is a change to Quickbase, or an on-demand where you're sending out a blast to maybe a report of people, it could be 100 people at a time, and you send out kind of a customized email to each one of those. Or, of course, maybe a scheduled email where maybe 9 a.m. every Monday, you want to send something to internal folks to remind them of, what their, the goals for the week are. All of those use cases are pretty effortlessly done with QB Courier. And of course, we have a configurator for this as well. So it kind of stays right in line with that low code, no code mentality. You don't have to build anything in pipelines. You don't have to have any understanding of how the code works behind the scenes. You just have a very easy WYSIWYG configurator available for you to build these emails out and have them be able to be sent from your Quickbase app.
I think logging the activities too is an important one. I hear that all the time. I'm using the email notifications in Quickbase. How do I know what's been sent out and so on? So we give you the ability to log all the activities inside of your own Quickbase application, which is pretty cool. And then you can always copy yourself or BCC yourself. Then you're going to have to do something with that. We just make it easier because you log that right into Quickbase.
I see Jim asked about being able to send out from Ignite. We do actually have Ignite extension capability with Exact Forms Plus at the moment. I don't believe we have that for Courier. In fact, I actually know we don't have that for Courier yet. That could be a future. Yeah.
The only add-on that we have that works with Ignite right now is Exact Forms Plus. We were kind of right around acquisition time. We had just released an Ignite integration with our Exact Forms Plus, as well as actually embedding the Ignite portal, the UI right within Quickbase. So it is very cool. And Ignite, I think, is a great product. So you could do so much with that. So, that again, we'll be talking to Quickbase about the opportunities for, expansion with Ignite as we move forward with extensions. But right now, yeah, we can't do anything attachment wise with Courier and Ignite.
Yep. And like Keith said too, we did kind of start to build that relationship with Ignite. So we would love to, continue utilizing that tool. And we believe a lot of, especially construction companies utilize Ignite. And, there's really so much could be done within that platform. So we would love to be able to connect both tools together like we did, get that kind of out to the masses more. Well, good question, Jim. Any other questions on Courier before I go up to the next slide? All right. Oh, wow, all over the place. Excel Docs. So Excel Docs, like many of you do know, Exact Forms Plus. Excel Docs is the sister add-on to Exact Forms Plus. We're leveraging an Excel template in order to generate the documents from Quickbase. So the really amazing part about this is if you have pivot tables, charts, or graphs, all of that will still function as expected. You're just kind of pre-filling it, or you're kind of filling it, or I guess priming it, I believe is the word that Keith and Todd would use, with the data from Quickbase in order to have those generate and populate the way you're expecting. So no manual cutover, no having to manipulate your cells or your columns or your pivot tables to work exactly the way you're expecting, or copying and pasting things over. We're able to generate those documents in whatever custom format you have within your Excel template. And I always say this, no matter what, we try to say, Excel is kind of the backbone of many businesses. So whether it's through executive reporting, or you have customers that require documents in Excel or CSVs format a certain way, there's a use case for Excel docs for every single client in likely every single app. So Excel docs is a big underdog. And like it says there, common generated documents, invoices, sales graphs, proposals, contracts, expense orders, orders with line items, anything that you're trying to leverage the power of Excel, the table functionality within Excel, this tool is specifically going to work well for you. Really kind of limitless things you could do with Excel, in my opinion, especially if you are good at Excel. This tool is for you. Any questions on that? All right. Don't think so yet. So Exact Forms Plus, likely the one everyone knows the most about, especially those of you who are on this call that are existing customers, you likely all subscribe to this tool or did at one point or another. Generating your Word templates as either a docx or a PDF format. This is obviously one of the major wins of Juice Technologies over the years, generating invoices, contracts, summaries, quotes, agreements, estimates, purchase orders, you name it, any type of Word document customized in your own format. We could produce that for you. There's, tons of additional parameters. So just doing, basic documents is just scratching the surface of the capabilities of Exact Forms Plus. We have customers who truly leverage all the features and functionality we have and can generate amazing workflow documents. And really, it's workflow automation to a degree, especially when you partner Exact Forms Plus with a tool like Jusas or Courier or Text My Quickbase even. There's so much you could do. And then, of course, being able to save that to Amazon S3, Dropbox, or Ignite even, just gives it the ability to have it not be siloed within the Quickbase platform.
What cool thing about Exact Forms Plus, it's one of our oldest add-ons. I think we released it in 2008 or 2009. But the really interesting thing is seeing people like Laura Hillier and Don Larson and our other, let's say, technical partners really push it to its limits and really, create creative, crazy documents that when we take a look at some of these, when we're troubleshooting some things with them, we're like, I can't believe you're creating that with this add-on. So we're proud of it because it's creating these documents that are really they're needed by the customers of our partners, and we're really proud to see how you can push the limits with it. And it actually, you pushed us to make it even better too. So I don't know how many times at the beginning, Laura was saying, well, that's great, but can it do this? I was like, okay, well, it can't, but you know what? We're gonna make it do it if we can, and we would. So we developed it obviously, but it was a community-driven add-on. Like most of our add-ons, they're all driven by the community. And it's always that question: hey, it's great, but can it do this? So as a thanks to the community for helping us really guide our development efforts in these add-ons.
Yep. Yeah, that's well said, Keith. I know that's one thing that I always heard you say over the last 5 years was, we really prioritize our roadmap based off of what our end users are actually looking for. So, our features are driven by your feedback. So still to this day, if you guys are going to be utilizing these extensions, and we hope you do utilize all of them, please don't be shy to provide us feedback. If there's something you like, if there's something you don't like, if there's something you want to see, please let us know, because that is obviously still going to be our North Star, right? Whatever you as the end users need to be able to do, we want to be able to provide that for you guys. Any questions on Exact Forms Plus before I go over the last tool? All right. So Juiced Sign, one of our newer tools, but now it's kind of it's certainly matured over the years, and we now have kind of made it more robust with our tags configurator, as we call it. But Juiced Sign provides legally binding e-signature documents to all Quickbase users, right? So this is built specifically for Quickbase and is managed within Quickbase. You do not need any third-party subscription to an Adobe Sign, a DocuSign, a Conga Sign, a Hello Sign, or all the other different signature tools out there. We're not utilizing any of those tools. This is all within our software and all within Quickbase. These are obviously, like I said, designed for Quickbase users. So we built this to work within your Quickbase apps. You do not need to grab an app from the exchange. It's not going to only work on something that you download from our side of the house. You can plug and play this right into your existing Quickbase apps, into any workflow you have. So if you have a quoting table or an orders table or a contracts table right now, and you want to have the ability to send out documents for e-signature, you can install Exact Forms Plus and JuSign within that table and get going today in sending those documents out for e-signature pretty flawlessly and pretty effortlessly. There's a bunch of different enablement that's going to be coming out for that specific use case, as I believe, again, this is something that could be used by every single Quickbase account and likely in at least one application across every single realm, and probably more than that. So this is obviously one that we're really excited about, and we're really looking forward to see how the community takes this off. If people,
this one too, we modeled this off of our experience with DocuSign. So we built the DocuSign integration back in 2013. Obviously, DocuSign is an incredible product, but it's also incredibly expensive. So our customers kind of pushed us to see what we could do to help them minimize their costs. That's why we built, one of the reasons why we built JuSign. But obviously, we're not a billion-dollar company, so we couldn't put every feature and function that DocuSign has. But we picked some of the real rich ones that our customers were using at the beginning, and we that's the ones that we transported over to JuSign. There'll be more enhancements to JuSign. It's going to get better. It'll get more robust. It'll have some more of the features that DocuSign and Adobe Sign have. But right now, it has enough to get a lot of the basic use cases that our customers are looking for satisfied. And really, we're looking to see what more we can do with that. So we have a healthy roadmap for that one as well. And again, that's like more of an adolescent add-on. Like we have some of the other ones were more adult, mature. That one's more on the adolescent stage, and we're looking forward to seeing where we're going to take that one in the future.
Yep. I just want to call out, I think Esther put it in the group before, but Keith and Harrison from Quickbase did a session last week where they went through one of the very simple use cases of JuSign, where it was just basically doing the e-signature within Quickbase. I certainly recommend watching that recording so you can kind of get a sort of a live demo of how that works. And if that's something you're interested in completing, I certainly recommend reaching out to your AE and kind of getting a demo started, whether that's with me or a solutions consultant on our team. We'd be happy to make sure that you guys can kind of see it live and understand how it would work within your use case, within your apps, because I believe it certainly will. But that's all 6, and we're coming to the top of the hour here. Do you have any other, ask me anything questions for Keith and I, as we are your captive audience here for another 7 minutes?
I just had one question I posted in the chat about, how do people get feedback to you all? Has that changed now that we're all working with the product team? What's the new workflow for everyone?
Yeah, that's a great point. I would be curious to see how Quickbase kind of captures that information. Juiced, obviously, we were a smaller business, right? So when you went through the support channels or info at Juice Tech, that would kind of alert all of our teams, and we would be able to work together to make sure that we got that feedback kind of listed down on a roadmap or enhancement list if there's something that we felt was going to be useful. I believe that we should look into how Quickbase takes feedback in and maybe see if there's a specific place where we can add extension feedback so that we can narrow down what people want to talk about. But that's a good point, Esther. I would have to talk to the products teams and see how they best get information in. Here's where I would plug the new feedback system survey. Oh, there you go, Dwight. Yeah, good. That's a good point. We could plug a survey in. Where would you guys like to get feedback? Because that's a good question.
So I shared in the Discord earlier that the product team, there's going to be some changes to Quickbase product feedback this summer. And so there's a survey that the product team is interested in folks filling out to learn a little bit more about what features today within product feedback that are critical to them and which ones are not. So I think Dwight is just referencing that. Let me get that survey link and I'll put it into the chat in case folks want to take a stab at that. One moment.
While you're doing that, Don asked a good question here about Text My Quickbase. He asked, does the relationship with eSendX still exist? One-stop billing. Great question, Don. We have a relationship with eSendX. We still use that as our middleman, if you will, as when we're communicating and sending out and receiving our text messages. All new customers, though, when you buy a bundle, all new customers will have to get their own or procure their own eSendX account. So it won't be one-stop billing, Don, for new customers. They will have to buy their own eSendX account, pay eSendX directly.
Yep. I was actually just typing that to you, Don, but Keith answered it word for word, pretty much exactly what I was going to say. I believe it's super important for clients to have ownership of their data and of their own accounts. So that's the direction that Quickbase is going in for compliance reasons. So that is the route forward, but it will still be eSendX that you will be working with. And then once you have procured that phone number and what's called a license key, you'll be able to easily plug and play that right into Text My Quickbase to be able to start sending out and receiving text messages from within the platform. All right. There. Good. Is that the survey link, Ben?
So I've put in 2 links. So the one I just put in that goes to On-Demand Goldcast, that is for the webinar that Harrison did last week, that you guys did with Harrison last week. So for folks who didn't get a chance to see that live. And then above in Dwight's comment, I put the survey for feedback.
Thank you. Especially for that, the already done demonstration. I think that's really important, guys, for context to what we did here. Talked about the add-ons, now called extensions. But just to wrap it up, I just want to say, thank you guys for attending and for having interest in asking Keith and I anything. We appreciate it, and we are excited to be continuing to be part of the Quickbase community. Obviously, now as members of Quickbase, and these extensions are going to only become more robust and more powerful, and we're really excited to see where things go. So thank you guys all for attending and for supporting us throughout the years, of course.
Yes. Thank you, Keith. Thank you, Matt. And again, I thought maybe I cut you off there, Keith. I'm sorry. Did you have anything you'd like to add?
Oh, I was just going to say thank you very much, too. I appreciate you giving us the opportunity to get in front of everybody, and appreciate the attendance here and the questions.
Awesome. Yeah, likewise. I think it's always great to have this. I feel like it's more personal in these kinds of meetings versus the webinar, so you can get connect with people and have a nice banter on the side as well. So it's wonderful. And I'll make sure to send out the recording, the recaps, and also the links that were shared. I'll go ahead and grab those out and share those out in the recap as well. And of course, if you have any questions, comments, feel free to reach out to Ben and I. We're happy to be there, forward, connect folks and all that good stuff. So thank you all. And I hope you all have a wonderful rest of the week. Take care.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Hi, everybody.
Take care, everyone.